Okay, 1 second. Now I got it worked. I just have to be able to do this via Zoom. So I am answering questions from Q&A right now, and I feel so bad today, but at least now I know what's going on. And I just put a TikTok up about this, but you guys always love to hear about Fourth Way, and I always love to tell you about it. And, Fourth Way is one of my favorite lineages ever because it's not related to any specific theology. They do use a lot of like Sufi practices. Sufism is the second level of Islam, and they do use a lot of those tactics. But basically, one of the methods in it is understanding that there's four parts of the mind. And so it's not just, your mind, like all one big soup. It has four distinct centers. And when you understand this, and when you actually start thinking about like, what center am I in, which is such a good way to like become conscious, every time you're noticing like what center you're in, you're not in your mind, you're outside of your mind. You're viewing your mind from the perspective of consciousness. And usually you just think that everything you are is the mind. Every thought you have, you think is you. Every emotion you have, you think is you. But Fourth Way gives you a lot of these really unique, like psychological vantage points where you can start to see yourself in a new way. And every time I start my period, I'm always like, I have the same meltdown at like 4 p.m. every single day that I start the first day of my period. And my husband is like so patient with me. He'll really listen to me. I have the same vent every time I start my period. And it's always like in the afternoon where I'm like, I just can't do it anymore. I'm so tired. I'm so overworked. I've been busting my ass. Nobody can help me, like yada, yada, yada. And the truth is that like by the time I'm verbalizing it, it's coming from my intellectual center. But this feeling of like, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm so overworked, it didn't start in my intellectual center. I woke up in the morning aware that in my body, in my instinctive center, that I was feeling really bad. I have cramps, I've underslept, and I've got kids. So like there's never resting is just like it's not really a thing with kids. You realize how little your kids give a shit about you when you're sick or when you're on your period or whatever, because they're just like, they keep doing the things, like the kid things. And so, but I wake up feeling bad, wake up feeling shitty. Daddy, please get Wiley. By like mid-morning, what was a physical sensation of feeling really bad turns into like an emotional mood where I'm like, I'm so sad and I don't understand why everything is so hard and my worldview is so, everything sucks. And then by the time it rolls around to like 4 p.m., at that point, my intellect is like trying to make sense of why I emotionally feel bad. And why I emotionally feel bad is because I physically feel bad. But when I'm not able to notice the way that my mind just took the sensation and is trying to make sense of it by pushing it into other parts, I actually think like all this stuff is really happening. Like, wow, this really is a catastrophic day. This is such a catastrophic day. This is a day where I realized I absolutely couldn't handle being the sole breadwinner of my family ever again. But that's actually not true. I just woke up and I felt bad, which turned into a bad mood, which turned into a whole fucking monologue that I can go on about why I'm feeling so bad. So Fourth Way is really helpful because when you realize where it came from, we're like, okay, the world isn't ending and I'm not depressed. I just feel bad. And if I just feel bad, like I can do something about that. I can stay in bed. I can refuse to work. I can be like, this is just what I'm going to do and make the best of it. Very easy for me to make the best of staying in bed. It's like my dream. And so, but duty calls today. I have Q&A everything every single Friday. And the first question that we have in Q&A, this is a woman that actually asked me this last week, and like, is there Q&A this morning? I'm confused about how and when to access Q&A. Is there a Zoom link? Where do I find it in this app? What time on Friday does it happen? So when I first opened up my school, we were doing one Q&A a month, just one Q&A a month. Now, with the volume of students, we immediately upped that to every single week. But what I did from the very beginning, because I'm very, very careful about what I give my word to, because when you give your word to something and you don't do it, it creates shame. And I knew that the only way that I could quadruple the amount of live time that I was initially willing to invest in this school, I was like, if people have access to me for $180 a month, the most that they can get from me is 1 hour of live time per month. But I immediately quadrupled that because I wanted to be of the highest possible service. But when I did that, I made an absolute commitment that I was not going to commit to it at a certain time, nor was I going to commit to it in a certain format. So no, it's not 11 a.m. I'm going to be here, because that doesn't actually work for my life. That's making a commitment every single week at a certain time for the rest of my life. What I can commit to is always answering the questions on Friday. And whether that's via text, sometimes it's via video, sometimes it's via audio, it's whatever I can do. I'll show up and I'll do it, but I'm not making the commitment to be there at a certain time every single day, because that's just every single Friday, because that's just not what works for me. I'm very conscious about my live time. I'm very conscious about where I invest my time. And there's a lot of people, as you grow and scale, like your live time as a teacher is your absolute premium offering. And people, no matter what they get from you, that's always going to be what they want. And they're going to want it for whatever feels like their assigned value for it. But the thing is that you decide how much your live time is worth. Like my live time to do 2 sessions with me is $15,000. And that's just what it costs. There's not like a loophole where you can get live time with me for a smaller rate. It's just like group workshops and showing up for Q&A. But that's why there's not a specific time for things. And I recently was like, okay, I'm going to do a new podcast every Wednesday, but I don't have a new story every Wednesday. So as much as the world might want me to commit to like turning out a new Intuitor episode, it says sometimes there's not tea on Wednesday, but when there's tea, I will be the first person to show up and speak about it. I'll do it as quickly as I possibly can. But if there's no tea, I'm not going to sit there and like try and make gossip where there isn't any gossip. And so, yeah. So what time on Friday does it happen? It happens at some point every Friday. Sometimes it's video, sometimes it's, audio, and sometimes it's text. And it's basically just based on what I can do. But I check every bit of homework on Fridays and I answer every single question on Fridays. And that's fucking cool, because you're never just left alone with my workshop. So these questions come from Safehouse, which is my online school, and enrollment is open for that in the month of September. It'll also be open in the month of December and then in the month of June. So you can only get in and get access to all of my workshops at once when you enter within these windows, but there is a 2-week free trial, and you can get that at the link in my bio. So my friend here says, I think I'm addicted to my phone. What should I do? Now, if you're ever addicted to something, the best way to get off of it is to get addicted to something stronger. And something stronger doesn't mean like a stronger distraction. It can be something, it's like, okay, you're addicted to your phone. That's a pretty simple addiction. It's like, okay, I don't want to be bored, or I don't want to be distracted, or I don't want to actually get to work on something. But if you think about something that you really want to accomplish, and you just recognize that it will never be accomplished if you don't create some time and some space, like get addicted to a goal and get addicted to like escaping the pain of not doing that goal. Like if there's something you want to do that you came to Earth to do, and you're not going to do it because you're like scrolling on TikTok, how much of a failure are you going to feel like? What kind of impact is that going to have on your body? What kind of impact is that going to have on your close personal relationships if you never do anything in your life? What kind of impact is that going to have on your finances? What kind of impact is going to, and all of these things, it's just a domino effect. Like if you keep choosing this addiction, you're always going to feel like shit. But what if and you can do these leverage questions in the first lesson of erotic and autoerotic. Those leverage questions are in the first lesson. And if you want to get a little bit more leverage around these things, but then you think about, you want to create like a hell if you don't, heaven if you do scenario. So like, it'll be hell if I don't reach these goals, but it'll be heaven if I do reach these goals. And all I have to do to reach these goals is have a clear boundary around my phone. It's to just shut it off at this time, not bring it with me on the weekends, or, however it is that you want to do it. But the easiest way to get off one drug is to get addicted to a new one that's stronger. And so just get addicted to your goals. Like, what is it that you've always wanted to accomplish, and put some skin in the game? And this is what we did in autoerotic lesson 4, also in erotic wealth lesson 4, we really get some leverage around this, and we really make it in a way where you just like cannot deny anymore that these tiny little habits of yours are what's going to cost you the feeling of satisfaction on your deathbed. And you don't want that. So that's how. Do I have a life coaching certification you recommend? Truthfully, I built Wheels Reinvented. This isn't a plug, but the life coaching certification that I most recommend is Wheels Reinvented, because no matter what anybody is talking about, there's one of these core traumas at the root of it. And everybody needs to move trauma to be able to move forward effectively. And it's such a cool experience for people to have these stories rectified. Nobody else teaches it. And because everybody has to clear childhood trauma at some point, if they want to move forward, if they do it with somebody that isn't practiced in the art of doing like super quick spiritual surgery, then they'll just spend like so many years with a therapist or so many years with a coach, and it's not ever really moving them forward. So that's why I created that. But the coaching certification that I did, I got my first like a health coaching certification from Integrative Nutrition. And that was cool because it taught me how to like really listen to people and not just give them advice. But if you're just getting started, like, don't do fucking coaching certifications, because I don't know. I just don't really, it's kind of like bartending school. Like if you're an alcoholic, then you know how to make a drink because you fucking drink drinks. Bartending school is like, so like, it's like narky and weird. And you're meant to teach from your life experiences. I really need to make a TikTok about this. Hopefully I put it in my notes. Let me send a text to myself right now. Make TikTok about aligning life to curriculum. You're meant to teach from your own life experiences, because when it comes to teaching, this is one of the first YouTube videos I ever made. You never ask like, what do I most want to teach? It's what do I most want to learn? And that's like the first thing that we go over in Fuckless. So what is it that you most want to learn? And that's what you're here to teach. And so you don't have to, it's so much wiser to like, you know, if you're working shame, to instead of getting a life coaching certification, to just double, triple, quadruple down on the understanding of what shame is, how to beat it, and then teach other people how to beat shame. It's so much better to become an expert in like a certain field than to get, you don't need any life coaching certifications, because it's not business coaching, it's life coaching. All you need is life, but life is full of problems and you have plenty of them. So if you just focus on what it is that you most need to heal in yourself, you will naturally start sharing that with the world. And then they will start asking you how to heal it. And this is all what we do in my workshop, Fuckless, teaching you how to be authentic on the inside, but also how to market and launch authentically whatever it is that you're launching. And both Fuckless and Wheels Reinvented are included in the Safehouse curriculum. Now, the thing about Safehouse is like a lot of people join it and want to start all of the workshops at once. All of the workshops, except for the beginners workshops, are magical processes. So it's a lot better to like do one, as if you're like, I really want to blitz through as much of this curriculum as possible. It's way better to do one as fast as you can, or at the very maximum 2 simultaneously. But if you don't finish them, you don't get the results. So like, it's much better to do and finish one than to start multiple. It's really about finishing the process, because if you stop a magical process too early, you get stuck where it is that you stopped doing it. It's not like you go back to square one, you get stuck where you stopped doing it. So I really recommend that if you're going to try out this free trial, that you pick a workshop and stick to it. And if you want to know the order that we usually recommend doing these workshops in, just go to the link in my bio on TikTok or mommyonami.com and go to the tab that says Safehouse, and you can see the specific order in which we want to work all of these workshops and why. But if that doesn't feel like it really fits you, then you can just go to the workshops tab. There's one that says how to get started, and I'll take a little quick test for you so you can see what homework you should do. So let's just see, how long have we been on this for? Anyone have any idea how long this TikTok is? I have been on here for maybe like 15 minutes. I like to give people a little bit of a timestamp. All right, now it's time to go over to some of the other question categories. If you have a question, just drop it into the comments right now on TikTok, And while I am looking for questions, maybe I can get to one of yours. Just loading over here. Hi, everybody. I have a really hard time achieving my goals. Procrastination is a huge problem. Yeah, procrastination's like masturbation. It feels amazing at first, but in the end, you're just fucking yourself. And so at some point, you have to get so sick of not following through on your goals that you're like, I'll do whatever I can to fix this. All right, so it looks like I don't have any questions here for this week, but it's like probably not refreshing or something like that. Anyways, Miss Onami, marry me, beautiful girl. Honey, I don't really believe in marriage. I mean, but my husband and I believe in like mating. My husband and I, we had an alchemical wedding, but we never got legally married, and we probably never will. Plus, like the tax benefits of not being married so much outweigh the benefits of being married. It's a government cooking contract. There's nothing that's special or alchemical about marriage at all. And it's like crazy how many fucking, like, I talked to like an Ifa priest a while ago, and he was like, yeah, you should really get married and you should go to the doctor. And I was like, what? Like, I'm not sick. I'm not sick. Why would I fucking go to the doctor for like a checkup? And like, why would I go to City Hall to get married? Because it's like, oh, well, it's official that way. No, bro. If you would have seen what my husband and I were up to on June 21st, 2022, that shit was official. What about if you're unsure on your goals and find it hard to commit to one end goal or outcome? You kind of have to prioritize, because nothing's going to succeed unless you're able to. It's going to need time and focus. And your ability to focus is like your ability to be a god. So in this era where we're so easily distracted, you have to know that every day your God powers are not being stolen from you. You're just giving them away. You're just giving them away. So you have to learn how to focus your attention. And it's like, everything is easy to drop when it's in the early stages. Like, it's so easy to be an idea person and to, like smoke weed and have a bunch of ideas of all the things you could do and never actually put any of them into motion. And in my workshop, Autoerotic Wealth, I make people be like, what's paying first and what's paying fastest of all of these things that you want to do? What's paying first and what's paying fastest? And let's just focus on that right now. Let's just do that one. And let's see how far we can get in the creation of that. And all of my workshops have step-by-step goals for how it is that you would make that happen, whatever it is that your goal is. But we have to at some point prioritize one thing, and then we'll see if we actually, you will lose interest in every idea at specific points, and your ability to be a god is to go through those points where the erotic dies and it's not new and exciting anymore, and you're like, yo, wow, this is actually work. Maybe I want to do something else. And we want to make sure that we don't have a problem of actually seeing things all the way through. So if you've never completed a project, it's time to decide what's paying first, what's paying fastest, and to just get that as rapidly as possible. So I got to get you guys, because I have a feeling that the questions are on my phone, which I'm currently live streaming off of. I don't know if my husband's phone is working up here, but for the last couple of weeks, I've had no shit like 90 questions to answer across all of the different workshops that are running right now, as well as so much homework to check. So as much as I want to sit here, how high love wild, as much as I want to sit here and like talk, I have to get this done. But what is an alchemical marriage? The reason why I don't tell people on here what an alchemical marriage is because there's like so much that can go wrong with it. And I'm not really sure if it is necessary. And a lot of people might find it grotesque. And I just don't really want to say it out loud, because I don't want people to try that at home. It's like hardcore shit. And so that's why I don't just want to like say it to the internet, because if anybody out there has like a hacker mind like mine, where it's like, oh, cool, I'm going to try that. Like, I've seen it go so wrong with people. And I talk about that in my book, The Complete Guide to Sexual Magic. But in erotic and autoerotic wealth, there is no drinking of menstrual blood. So I have had people ask me that, like, am I going to have to drink menstrual blood? No, not in my workshops. But that's the reason why I don't like just talk about it openly. Off the tongue advice for someone who's just off the tongue advice for someone who just accepted that they've spent a whole year trying to force their way into gaining everything from level 2 when really I'm at like ground zero. I'm trying not to, yeah, but this is just how it goes. So everybody thinks that they're more enlightened than they are. And at least, girl, at least you did this privately. At least you did this privately. I did it publicly. I literally did it publicly. I thought I was like firmly established in level 2. And it was only when I started publicly teaching spiral dynamics and integral theory, which was school season 2, which you can't find online because it was such a fucking shit show, because I had to find out on camera in front of everybody that not only had I not ascended in consciousness, I had descended to a level that was lower than my students at that time. And I found that shit out publicly. So like literally just be happy that it happened to you privately. Intelligence is knowing where you are. Now you know what you're working up towards, but literally everybody thinks that they're more enlightened than they are. And at least now you're going to be able to spot that in people. Now you're going to be able to spot that in people and be like, hoo-hoo. And this is the first. Humility is the requirement to enter into the second level of teachings. And when you've realized that like you thought you were hella enlightened and actually you're like way lower on the totem pole than you actually thought you were, then you have genuine humility. And that teachers that are humble, when people are like squawking about like this and that and arguing their position and stuff like that, a real teacher is like just kind of quietly like smirking to themselves, because it's like, honey, we I remember when I thought like that, and it's not for me to interfere. This is a canon moment for you. Like, I just want to let you have, this is very, very important for you to experience this on your own, but you'll be able to spot it in everybody, the like in play. And it's what in Jesus in the Beatitudes said, blessed are the poor in spirit. Someone who's poor in spirit has the awareness that they're less enlightened than they thought they were. And someone who is rich in spirit thinks they're more enlightened than they thought they were. So you are now in a position to receive blessings, whereas before it was like, if I'm this, and why is it all still so hard? And now you understand why it's hard, because you know where you are. So just be happy, Queen, that this happened to you privately and not publicly, because when it happens publicly, it's a fucking burn. This person says, I don't know how to monetize what I meant to share, but I don't want people to not value it. Love Wild, yeah, of course, no problem. Yeah, that's a sign of progress, honestly, is understanding where you are. That is understanding where you are. So that's good. And just, so happy that it wasn't a public thing for you. That's just a rite of passage. I don't know how to monetize what I meant to share, but I don't want people to not value it. You just have to get out there and do it. And if you are struggling in the money department, then you need to just focus on money. This doesn't mean you have to go like full suit, but you need to focus on the spiritual aspects of money and making money using business from spiritual business people. But spiritual business people like Howard Schultz, it's an incredibly spiritual man. Like there's someone that you can learn, this guy, the CEO of Starbucks, so much that you can learn from this person. And his masterclass is all about being honest in business. And it's fucking so good. So nobody ever became successful without being aligned spiritually in some way, even if they don't outright call it, being spiritual or using manifesting or something like that. Like that's what they're using. And when you listen to their story, you hear so much how all of this was always at play. But study what you're not good at. Like if you notice that your butt wasn't where you wanted it to be, like you would work your butt muscles, you wouldn't work your arm muscles. So like your spiritual arm muscles are probably doing really good, but your butt muscles are not working at all. So you need to stop doing the arm workout, stop doing the Kundalini yoga and start doing business. Grew so much though from fumbling in front of everybody. Yeah, I did too. And now, mine was a public thing too. Mine was so bad because then mine was so bad. Like if you do my workshop Mesoterica, because like right when it couldn't get any worse, I did an objective enlightenment exercise, which took a lot of study. It was from the fourth way lineage, took a lot of study to be able to do it. But it was basically this like stamp that you can get that's like, oh yeah, you know, now you're enlightened. And so, but it's enlightened by mind only. And like he said that, but the way that it was packaged was like, yeah, but you know, like what other enlightenment is there? You know, be enlightened by mind only. No, if you're not enlightened by being, then basically you have somebody walking around, AKA me, being like, I'm so enlightened, I'm so superior, but is behaving like a total dick that has contempt for humanity, that doesn't like other people, that think other people are stupid and lazy for not doing the work. This was literally me. And so the whole time I was not only that, but oh my God, I was doing research for erotic wealth and I had accidentally set black magic active, which was a horrible placement for it to be. I was really, I'm like, I practice all types of magic, but if they're all in their right spot, then everything is balanced, everything is coherent. But I had accidentally set black magic passive, which meant that black magic active instead of passive, which meant that everything that I was doing was motivated by the desire to control. I started becoming super obsessed with propaganda and was like, I'm going to roll out my own propaganda campaign because like, all of the things that were starting to seem like good ideas were actually horrible ideas in the long run because I had set black magic active. And so while I was literally behaving as the worst possible example to humanity, I was literally saying nonstop, yeah, like I'm enlightened. It's like, oh, the cringe is so real. So now when I teach people the objective enlightenment exercise, because it does work, it's fab, but I tell them from the very beginning, like, you're going to need to instantly surrender this result. The title of enlightened doesn't mean anything. Chop wood, carry water. And I just like instill that in them from the very beginning because I really don't want you guys to feel like a dick to the degree that I felt like a dick. Like it was so fucking cringe. She says, now I know how to laugh at myself. But at first when I realized, oh my God, I wanted to die, girl, I did. That's an ego death. It's like I wanted to fucking curl up and die. I was horrified. I had to do super efforts for so long. Quit smoking weed because also CPS got called on me during that time. So I quit smoking weed. I had to go back to studying. I had to rebuild my entire business up from scratch. I started fasting on Saturdays, no food from sunup to sundown. I was breastfeeding, so it was like extra brutal. Had to meditate like every single day. It took me such a long time to get back on track. It took like a very thorough cleaning. But now, now I don't, just the fact that I can talk about this is like, that there's something different. Like it's when people don't see the error of their ways that the change in being hasn't happened. And I'm here as a 6'3" in human design to really help people avoid my own mistakes. Like I'm here so much more to teach you what not to do than what to do. And that's really where my value comes from. It's kind of like if Threads is hiring a bunch of Twitter employees, they're not hiring Twitter employees so they can say, oh, at Twitter, we did this and it worked. So let's copy that. They're saying at Twitter, we tried this and it really didn't work. So let's save you the time on the build out because this will lead to congestion and bottlenecks and stuff down the road. But yeah, it was totally horrible. Tonight is Jews' New Year on Sabbath, new moon, and Mercury direct. Ole, and here in Mexico City, it's their Independence Day, El Grito. This is the day that they had their independence from Spain. Yeah. Am I going to do Jeezy and Jeannie May? I don't even know who that is. Is it T? I have no idea who either of these people are. I was thinking about doing an Intuitor episode on Sophie and Joe Jonas and also on Kylie and Timothy. But the truth is that I have never heard a Jonas Brothers song and I only know Sophie. I'm not invested in that whatsoever. I think that there's good PR angles and stuff from it, but like the PR people on here on TikTok are already doing such a bang up job of that. Like it has to be tea for me. And I think that like Kylie and Timothy are like kind of tea, but the only tea for me in that whole thing is like just realizing that Timothy is not into the natural look. And that's cool. but I thought he would be like, I thought he would be like Mr. Natural, like into the natural look. And I guess he's just like not into the natural look. And that's totally fine. I think that Kylie's got like the most amazing body. And I think that they do, that they just like bond over weed, but like, it's not even tea to me. I'm like, I don't know. For some, I know a lot of people like love that relationship and love it for her, but like that relationship to me, I'm just like, I don't, it kind of gives me the ick. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I feel like, I don't know why. I don't know why it gives me the yuck. Rapper and talk show host just divorced, but no one saw it coming. Oh, yeah. I don't see myself ever having the confidence to call myself psychic, but I'm seeing things then happening. So you should definitely, like, it's so hard to give yourself the title, but people really need that. But also psychic has a certain price point attached to it. I just had a session with a psychic this morning. Amazing psychic, actually. Her saved my life. Saved my actual literal life from Sui in 2016. And that was the last time I had a reading. And then I was just doing research for a client of mine. When you're, when you're Sui as like a lifestyle, I really want to make a TikTok about this too, about, when you're actually like Sui, then it's like always an option for you. And it can be very hard to take that option off the table because it just seems like a reasonable option whenever anything gets difficult. So you're like, oh, I have a cavity. Like I could go to the dentist, I could try and get insurance, or I could off myself. And it's just like always there. And all the therapy, like all of the self-help, all of these things take the option off the table. Sometimes you just need to see a vision for your life that's bigger than the one you've ever been able to see for yourself. And psychics can be really, really good at showing you that vision. And this psychic in particular, she's amazing. If you go and see her, she does phone readings, but if you're in Toronto, Mina, the psychic, and also her brother Michael saved my life, no kidding. But this was my first reading with her that I had this morning. And it was really awesome. It really did exactly what I needed it. So she is Mina, M-I-N-A, Mina, the psychic. You can find her online. Tell her Onami sent you. And then her brother is michaelsvisions.net, and he saved my life straight up. What does the tattoo on my forehead say? Gentleness. It's the answer for all problems in my life. And then this is going to be the last one I do here. You are an inspiration for having the gift of gab with endless knowledge and added value. Thank you so much. For a long time, I thought that it was the curse of gab, and I really wanted to be like a black turtleneck that, smoked capris and didn't talk. But not all of us are here to be talk show hosts. Everybody that is here to be like a talk show host will be told by the people around them that they talk too much or that they're just too much. These people should go get less because you have a gift, and it really is a gift. So just go with it and be aware of the Vishuddha chakra, because when your Vishuddha is blocked, it doesn't mean you can't talk. It can a lot of times mean that you can't fucking shut up about the things that you're jealous of and are judging as a result. So you can learn more about that in my workshop Wheels Reinvented when we do the Vishuddha module, but also my workshop Jelly, which you can also try out for free at that free trial in my bio, is basically just a deep dive on the Vishuddha chakra. Jelly, like for jealousy. All right, love you guys so much. I have to go check for more questions now. Love you. Bye.